A young man stood at a crossroads holding two maps in his hands. He spent hours comparing every possible route. What if I choose the wrong one? What if I fail? What if there's a better path? So he waited. He analyzed every detail. He imagined every outcome. He searched for certainty. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into years. One afternoon, an old traveler passed by and smiled. "You know what's funny?" he said. "I've taken the wrong road many times, but you've never taken any road at all." The young man looked around. The crossroads hadn't trapped him. His own mind had. How many opportunities have you lost because you kept thinking instead of acting? Tonight, we'll explore one of the greatest traps the Stoics warned us about. Overthinking doesn't protect your future. It quietly steals your present. Most people think overthinking is a sign of intelligence. They believe that if they analyze every possibility, they can avoid every mistake. But the Stoics saw things differently. They understood that excessive thinking often has very little to do with wisdom. More often, it is fear wearing the mask of logic. You tell yourself you're being careful, but deep down you're avoiding uncertainty. You keep searching for the perfect answer, even though life rarely offers one. Every decision carries risk. Every path contains unknowns. The problem is that while your mind searches for absolute certainty, life keeps moving forward. Opportunities don't wait until you're ready. They disappear. Overthinking doesn't always end with a bad decision. Sometimes it ends with no decision at all. And in many cases, the opportunities you never took become the regrets you carry for years. Epictetus taught that suffering begins when we try to control what cannot be controlled. Overthinking is often an attempt to predict the unpredictable. What if they reject me? What if I fail? What if everything goes wrong? Your mind creates dozens of imaginary futures, most of which never happen, yet your body reacts as if every one of them is real. You become exhausted by battles that exist only inside your imagination. The Stoics believed that peace comes from returning to the present moment. Instead of asking, "What if?" they asked, "What can I do right now?" That single question shifts your attention away from fear and back toward action. Because while the future is uncertain, your next step is always within your control. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Think about how often you've replayed the same conversation before it even happened. You imagine embarrassing yourself. You imagine people judging you. You imagine failing before you even tried. Then the moment finally arrived, and it wasn't nearly as terrible as your mind predicted. This is the trap of overthinking. It convinces you that imagination is reality. The more attention you give fearful thoughts, the more powerful they become. But thoughts are not facts. They are only possibilities. Wisdom begins when you stop believing every story your mind tells you and start paying attention to what is actually happening. The young man eventually became tired of listening to his own thoughts. Every decision felt heavier than it should. Choosing a career took months. Sending a simple message took hours. Speaking honestly felt impossible. One evening, he asked an old philosopher, "How do I stop overthinking?" The philosopher smiled and pointed to a river. "Can you stop the river from flowing?" "No," the young man replied. "Then why do you believe you can stop your thoughts?" The young man looked confused. The philosopher continued, "Your job is not to control every thought. Your job is to decide which thoughts deserve your attention." In that moment, he realized something life-changing. His thoughts were visitors, not masters. He didn't have to obey every fear that entered his mind. He only had to choose which one deserved a response. Most overthinking begins with a simple desire to avoid pain. You think if you plan enough, you'll never fail. If you analyze enough, you'll never be disappointed. If you wait long enough, you'll never make the wrong choice. But life doesn't work that way. Pain is not something you eliminate through endless thinking. It is something you learn to face with courage. The Stoics never promised a life without hardship. They taught a mind strong enough to endure it. Every challenge you avoid today becomes a larger fear tomorrow. Every difficult decision you postpone gains more power over you. Ironically, overthinking often creates the very suffering it tries to prevent. While you search for certainty, your confidence slowly disappears because confidence is built through action, not endless analysis. One morning, the young man made a different choice. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" he asked, "What if I never try?" That single question changed everything. He finally took the first step he had avoided for years. Was he still afraid? Yes. Did he still have doubts? Of course, but he discovered something surprising. Action silenced fears that thinking never could. Every small step gave him evidence that he was stronger than his imagination had convinced him. The Stoics understood this well. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting despite fear. The mind becomes calmer, not because life becomes easier, but because you stop allowing fear to make every decision for you. The greatest cost of overthinking is not stress. It is the life you never live. Every dream delayed, every opportunity ignored, every relationship left unexplored begins with the same sentence: maybe I'll do it later. Later becomes next week becomes next year. Before long, years have quietly disappeared. Seneca warned that we are not short of time, we simply waste much of it. Overthinking is one of the easiest ways to waste it because it feels productive while accomplishing nothing. You convince yourself you're making progress simply because you're thinking. But 1,000 thoughts cannot replace one meaningful action. The Stoics believed that life rewards those who move forward despite uncertainty. Waiting for perfect clarity is like waiting for the ocean to become perfectly still before sailing. If you keep waiting, you'll never leave the shore. As the years passed, the young man noticed something remarkable. His problems didn't disappear because he became wiser. They became smaller because he stopped feeding them with endless attention. He learned to pause when fear appeared, take a deep breath, and ask a simple Stoic question: is this within my control? If the answer was yes, he acted. If the answer was no, he let it go. That single habit brought more peace than years of overthinking ever had. Slowly, his confidence returned, not because he always made the right decisions, but because he no longer feared making the wrong ones. He finally understood that every mistake carried a lesson, while every hesitation only carried more regret. The prison had never been the world around him. It had always been the stories inside his own mind. The crossroads where the young man once stood had never demanded a perfect decision. It had only demanded a first step. Looking back, he realized that overthinking had stolen far more from him than failure ever could. It stole his time, his peace, his confidence, and nearly his future. The Stoics remind us that your mind can either become your greatest ally or your greatest prison. Every day, you must decide which one it will be. Stop asking for certainty. Stop waiting for fear to disappear. Take the next step with the knowledge you have today. Because your life will not be shaped by the thoughts you keep repeating. It will be shaped by the actions you finally choose to take. If this lesson resonated with you, subscribe for more timeless Stoic wisdom. And remember, a single courageous action will always outweigh 1,000 fearful thoughts.